Welcome to the warm-up. I'm Stu Wakefield. Look, it's been a tough week, but luckily I've got two of my best mates on hand who always put a smile on my face when I see them. It is, of course, the ambassador and the granddad to our Del Boy and Rodney, Brentford women's gaffer, Karleigh Osborne. Lads, how are you? Look at those smiles. That's what I need after last night.
It's been hard to smile, man. In fact, it's the first time I have smiled since the game. Put it that way.
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. Tough, wasn't it, Karleigh?
It has. It's been a tough week, but we've got to be positive about it. We've got to look forward. We're together now, so we've got a good show lined up. So here we go.
That's it, mate. How was Valentine's? Mrs. O, enjoy the cooking?
Yeah, I think she did enjoy the cooking, even though it wasn't mine. We ended up just getting a takeaway, so yeah, it was all good fun still.
That's out of order. That is poor from you.
I offered, but she said she wanted a takeaway. Big mistake, though. My cooking would have been better, but it is what it is.
Maybe she's got good wisdom about her, Mrs. O. She knows, man. She knows.
Don't tell her that, Karleigh.
Well, mate, let her watch the show.
Like we said, lads, it has been a bit of a gloomy week, but we've got to lift it. We're going to lift it, haven't we? We're in, yeah, bringing spirits up.
Yeah, we've got to, lift over this sort of gloomy couple days. But it's all in our hands to just do that. We've got to try and give everyone a great show tonight. Great guests to come on as well. So, yeah, it's all in our hands. Let's do it.
Exactly. And lads, look, after last week when we recorded on the Saturday before the Sunday game, the players obviously made that statement with the club saying that they'd no longer be taking the knee before matches. I wanted to get your thoughts on this and what your reaction to the statement was.
Yeah, it's a well-worded statement. The actions of the players not taking it, it's a bit mixed. For me, it's a public reminder of changes that need to take place. And I can understand the players' frustration of not seeing changes widespread, with the fact that a lot of players are getting abused on social media doesn't help the case at all. So there has to be something done. I haven't got all the answers at hand, but the players have decided to do that, and that's down to them. But it's replacing it with something. If there is going to be a replacement with something, there has to be some sort of action to keep us in the forefront of everyone's mind.
Yeah, I'm with Karleigh there. To be fair as well, I think taking of the knee is a visual representation for people to kind of understand and see the struggle, and it's. Without having to put words and statements out all the time, every time someone watches a game of football, they know that that's still an issue. They know that that's still alive, and they know that changes need to be made. Changes aren't being made, unfortunately, by the different platforms and things like that. And players are experiencing a lot of abuse at this moment in time. But I think the biggest thing is making sure that the club go and keep leading from the front by making sure that there's changes, that we can make changes.
Well, that's it. And look, we know the club have made a real point, and that we want to make sure we are the most inclusive club in the country, and obviously everyone stands behind that Be Together message and stands with that Be Together message. We were speaking off camera about this, and we were speaking for 45 minutes already, so people might be watching this going, hang on, want to hear more. Well, that's part of it. We need to be talking more, right? And we need to find a platform to do that, and maybe this isn't right now the time, but I'm sure it's something that the two of you will want to do at some point, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the debate will always be around because it's work in progress, and I think that's what people want to see. They want to see progress, whether it's short-term gains or long-term gains. But as long as there's progress, then I don't think anyone can complain in what's happening.
Exactly, spot on. Lads, we need the people at home to do something for us as always. Karleigh, I'm going to let you do this because you love doing it. What they got to do?
Like and subscribe. Click the buttons, people. Get the buttons going.
He keeps off his arms, isn't it?
Get the buttons going, people.
Well, do you want to tell everyone what's coming up on the show as well?
No, I'll let you do that.
All right then, mate. Well, I caught up with Shandon Baptiste in the week to discuss his injury rehab and his new journey joining the likes of the True Geordie and the Sidemen as a YouTuber, as his channel launched on Monday. We're not shying away from the football though, are we, lads? We'll also be talking Coventry and Sheffield Wednesday coming up, as well as having a look back at Barnsley and QPR. Plus, joining us here, a man who had a wonderful left foot, and I tell you what, He could strike one from distance. Nathan Elder said he's got the best banter at the club when he was here. We'll find out about that in a bit. It is, of course, Glenn Poole joining us. Another one of your old teammates, Karleigh.
Yeah, another one of my old teammates. He was a real good lad, though, and good fun in the changing room. So I'm looking forward to catching up with him.
Well, let's get him out there, shall we? He was, of course, part of Karleigh's title-winning side in League Two and goal of the season winner for that long-range volley against Wickham. Always scores from outside of the box. Glenn Poole, Glenn Poole, Glenn Poole, Glenn Poole. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yourself?
Not too bad, mate. Before we start, me, Karleigh and Marcus had a tear-up before we come on air. Right. You say your name, Glenn Poole, yeah?
Yeah.
So if someone was calling you by your nickname, what would they call you?
Paulie.
Right. Karleigh, you say it.
Poole.
No!
Yeah, but that's like, I think it's just from where you're from. Like, Andy Scott always just called me Paulie. But then I come over here and everyone calls me Paulie.
Yeah,
so
it's Paulie.
Yeah. It's
I'm
just,
right still, Stu. I'm still right, mate.
You're wrong, mate. You're wrong. You're wrong.
We were arguing about that for 8. That's why we were late bringing you in, mate. Anyway, look, got that out of the way. Short but very sweet spell at the club. What does Brentford mean to you, mate?
I mean, to me, even now, like, I mean, I see a memory on my Facebook. Like 13 years ago was my first year, because it was just such a great time for me personally. For 18 months of the 2 years, I mean, it was a little bit of a sticky patch for me, but overall it was brilliant, and it still is now, because even though it was just 2 years of my playing career, the amount of interaction I still have with people from the club, you know, is phenomenal, really, because, you know, like I said, I wasn't there for long, but I obviously must have made a positive impact on quite a lot of people.
That you did, mate. Honestly, as a fan back then, it was your goals, your work, your desire. There was so much, mate. And like I say, the fans have got some questions for you that we're going to put to you later. But first, boys, sometimes it's quite tricky for us. A lot of the time it's very easy for us. But today we've got to talk about 2 defeats and one to our rivals keep you. Luckily, we've not been on the losing end from them a lot over the years.
Hence their reaction, I think, last night from what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough one to take. Marcus, you were there.
Yeah.
What went wrong?
First half was really good. It felt that we was back to our brilliant best, dictating the play. We was getting good opportunities, especially down our left-hand side. Get a good goal from Ivan Toney, his 100th league goal of his career, which was brilliant. And then it just seemed like we just took our foot off the gas a little bit in that second half. I don't want to really give QPR any credit, but they upped their game in the second half, mixed it around a bit, and got themselves back into the game to take it over.
Lads, I'm sat here with 3 pros, right? I'm watching the game. I want to talk to you about what's gone wrong for the 2 goals that we did concede. The first one, it's come from our corner. And we've seen at times this year, we've maybe overcommitted at corners. I think at Leicester, Jan got caught out and he had to chase back because he was the last man, and we've maybe overcommitted at times. But this wasn't like that. We had bodies back. We had bodies around, yet they've caught us on the counter. So, Glenn, what could we have done better there? Is it tactical fouls up higher up the pitch? What could we have done?
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw when they broke, there was a chance where I'm not sure it was 1 or 2 of the players could have just had a little, you know, tactical booking, you know, a little cynical one, you know, just to slow the break down. It's easier said than done because, you know, some players are not that way inclined, unfortunately. And then as it progressed, I think they could have cleared their line a little bit better. But to be fair, I mean, the finish was a top draw finish. You've got to give him some credit because he kept it down well. But I think it could have been stopped further down the pitch.
It was a hell of a finish. And then the winner, we've gone from a hell of a finish to it's a hell of a ball from Todd Kane. Let's get that right.
Yeah.
Away. I mean, that's, I don't want to say it, but that's a hell of a diag there. Mm. When I was watching it with my dad, the first thing he thought straight away was like, hang on, why is Henrik Duck there? He didn't know what had gone on. I'm looking back at Henrik doesn't duck. But then there's next phase and there's next phase. So is this another one we've spoken about in the past, Karleigh, where it's a chain of events here? And also taking it away from the movement of Charlie Austin and the pass from Kane?
Yeah, I think it is a chain of events. I think it starts with kind of just the body position of the defenders at that point and a lack of communication. When Todd Kane sets himself up to play the diag, before he makes contact with the ball, you can see that he's going to try and play that ball. And it's about getting yourself in the best position as quick as you can, because of course you've only got, seconds to do that. And I think a lack of communication there has caused a mix-up between Henrik and Mbeumo there, which doesn't help. And then when the cross comes back in to Austin, again, defenders are facing the wrong way. And I think we spoke about it before in another game, I can't remember what game it was, but just facing the wrong way. And, if Rico is facing the right way, he sees Austin coming onto that and may be able to go and put a bit more pressure on, or even possibly intercept the pass. But there's so many things that happen within that sequence. It's just a bad chain of events, really. And
is that because someone like Charlie Austin, is it that if you give him that split second,
yeah,
that's all he needs? He just needs that tiny little invitation from you to get a bit of space. Is that what it is, Marcus? As a striker yourself, you've got that high intelligence off the ball, right?
Yeah, well, he didn't really get a sniff in the game. He was well marshalled by Mads Beck and Winston Reid. But the second that people were ball watching, as Karleigh's pointed out, he's found that little half a yard to capitalise, and it was a great finish by him in the end.
And look, we're not being negative here, but obviously we have to talk about stuff when it doesn't go right, and we're looking at how we can improve as a football club. We're still doing pretty well, and we'll get onto that in a bit. But there were positives as well, weren't there? For the goal, the ball from Matthias Jensen, I tell you what, undefendable like a Glenn Poole delivery, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it was whipped in with great pace, and from where I saw the angle from behind the goal, and I picked that sort of over the defender as well. At that pace, it whipped it in. But from a free kick, point of view, in that dangerous situation, you just got to whip it into a good danger area, and it can go straight in. One of the forwards can get it like that, or a defender. So for me, it was a great ball.
It reminded me of the Marcondes delivery to Ivan in the previous fixture earlier in the season, actually, but just from different angles. Ambassador, you mentioned his name just then. You picked out Winston Reid, and you mentioned something to me, his first start for the club, but you spoke about something quite unique about his performance that was interesting.
Yeah, I just noticed that every sort of high ball that he was going into, he would always try and, instead of just heading it into an area or high, picking players out, which keeps possession. So instead of just smashing it with the head, he would just have a little knockdown and the ball will fall into Matthias Jensen or Vitali in there, and it just keeps the possession. I thought that was a bit of composed sort of defending from him, and just something that we've not quite seen a lot of so far this season. But I just thought it was just a unique point that he's brought into the team.
That defeat last night came off the back of another disappointing defeat on Sunday against a team that, dare I say, it's becoming a bit of a bogey team for us now. According to Y-Scout, they're the second most direct side in the Championship, Barnsley. The first is Preston, who we struggled against massively at home. Third is Stoke, who we struggled against massively away from home. So we've come up against all three of these sides that are really direct in the league, and we've struggled against all three. How do you play better against direct sides? Because at amateur level, it was you need bigger players, you need stronger players, but that can't be. There must be more to it than this. How do you play against really physical and direct sides?
I was going to say, look, we've got the technical ability. It shines through very loud with when players sit off of us a bit. We're like the best team in the league for that, but we're struggling with converting that into, when we're pressed, have we still got that sort of courage to still want the ball, that bravery to get on the ball and deal with someone coming at you 100 miles an hour? And I think that's where we're probably just falling short a little bit. But the ability is in the side. It's just funny that Preston and Barnsley, two teams that have pressed us well at home, it was both on a Sunday as well. So I don't like Sundays now.
Look, I mean, it's really easy to catastrophize things these days. I don't even know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. Get too much into it. You see it in the Premier League all the time. A manager, he'll lose 3 games and it's sack him. He'll win 3 and they're in the top 4 and he's going for Manager of the Year. We're all guilty of it. I do it. We might lose a game and it's like, get him out of the team, bin him off. Why didn't we sign anyone here? Why is this going on? Then we'll go on this 21-game unbeaten run, and I'm like, oi, I'm Googling boozers next to Anfield. I'm booking an Interrailing card for the year after to go to Europe. We've got to calm down a little bit, haven't we? It's 16 games left. We're a third of the season to go. It's just got to be a bit calmer, hasn't it, Glenn?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a Spurs fan, so I know exactly where you're coming from. But, you know, I mean, after last year, I was certain that we was going to go up. I was 100%, even in the final, I was so confident and was watching it and was so gutted for the boys because I thought like it was just nailed on the way they was playing that second half of last season. But for them to come back after losing a couple of fantastic forward players to be where they are now, you would have taken that at this time of the season, and going into it, you know, it might be the best thing for the team and the squad to lose a couple of games now to go on another unbelievable run like they did last year. And if they do that, then it's as simple as that. And use it to your advantage, having this like mini blip sort of thing to then kick on and have a positive end to the season.
That's it. Do you know how many games you and Karleigh's team lost the year you went up at this stage?
At this stage?
Yeah.
4.
You lost 5.
5.
And we've lost 5 now.
He didn't even give an answer.
You lost the 5 before I got back from loan. That's why.
Ambassador, the year that you won the league, don't know if you know this, you lost 9 at this stage.
Yeah.
And you lost 5 more and still won the league. Like,
crazy world, isn't it?
And I'm not saying, all right, well, because you did that, it means we won't do that. It doesn't mean because Leeds did that, we do that. But it means anything can happen, can't it? Between now and end of the season, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I just saw a predicted table for the Premier League today, and it was this is the points for ratio, goals conceded, goals scored, and all that, and it's literally the same positions as what it is now. But that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I think they're well on their way. I really do. I'm really confident they're still going to do it personally.
It's just something that I know we always talk about is the one game at a time, but are you guys ever as players aware of loss totals and stuff? Are going, we've lost 5 and Leeds lost 8 all season last year, so we can only lose 3 more? Or is it more, we're playing well and let's look at the next fixture?
I just think your tunnel visions into your own pathway. You're not really bothered about what happened before with other teams in previous seasons. You've got to take your season for what it is and stay focused on that. You know, we've lost the last 2 games and Brentford are still second in the table. They're up there still. If that's a positive that we need to focus on, I think, yeah, let's focus on that. I don't think we've ever been in that position ever where we've lost 2 games and still in an automatic position. So something's going right for the club. Yes, it is a blip. I think it's going to only just be a very short blip before we get back on that sort of horse or bike and get moving again.
There's going to be loads of twists and turns, but that's why football is so good. Another positive from the QPR game was both sides coming together for the Football versus Homophobia campaign. Last Friday, I was lucky enough to sit in on a round table, actually, which was part of the Football versus Homophobia campaign. That was with the brilliant Kate Graham from LGBTVs, Molly O'Reilly, who's obviously one of your players, Karleigh, and obviously Brentford's own Alan Steele. The 3 of them sat down and talked about some real key issues facing the football community. It's brilliant. If you haven't had a watch of it yet, I really recommend it. It was unbelievable. For those of you that haven't seen it, here's a little tease.
I found this one interesting, really interesting, and I think in some I could be confident to say yes or no or maybe. In this one, I really don't know. The one thing I did think about was the person who does or who kind of gets to the point where they're thinking about it. They've stayed in the game and are still in the game, because how many people have actually decided to leave the game because they didn't like the environment or the culture that they were a part of? So again, I'll never know. I don't think we'll ever know, but I'm sure there's people out there who have said, you know what, I didn't want to stay in football. I didn't want to stay as part of that team. I didn't want to stay as part of that industry. And they've therefore gone elsewhere and either played another sport, another job, whatever it is. But we've lost that opportunity there for a player to be part of our game for reasons that shouldn't still be in effect. because they weren't comfortable in the surroundings. So will someone come out in the next 5 years? Good luck to them. I hope, if it's a player, and let's just take it at our football club, I hope it's somebody who feels so supportive that it can. I think what might happen is you maybe have more players who are confident enough to come out internally, and we'll probably ask clubs to protect their identity. We'll probably ask clubs, and we'll come out to their teammates, and I'm sure a number have, who are willing to say that to their friends and the club around them. But to go out further into the big wide world, I'm not sure.
Seriously, that was brilliant on Friday, and I can't recommend it enough. Karleigh, it was interesting to hear on the roundtable one of your players, Molly, talk really openly and honestly, and she actually said that if she was a player in the men's game, she wouldn't feel comfortable coming out, but she's very comfortable and to express herself and be herself in the women's game. And that's obviously a big part of you guys creating a very comfortable environment for her. There's a lot that the men's game can listen and learn from the women's game on this subject, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure there is. I think within the women's game, it's more accepted. I'm extremely proud of Molly for the way she spoke, and how the information given. The conversation was a fantastic conversation, and conversation breeds education. And it helps everyone kind of get a better understanding of these things. So that was fantastic. But there's a lot that the men's game can learn, and I think within the men's game, and we spoke about this before, didn't we, on a previous show? We spoke about toxic masculinity and all that kind of stuff. I think sometimes men's changing room can be crowded with that, and within the game, especially within the professional game, it doesn't allow men to be able to be maybe vulnerable or speak about issues or speak about how they might be feeling or anything like that without feeling like they're going to be judged. And I think that's one of the biggest differences. And I think that's where the men's game can learn so much.
Exactly that, mate. Honestly, I learned so much. I know I keep saying it, but it was really an eye-opener for me. Back to the on-the-pitch matters. Another week, another 2 matches. I wouldn't say there's ever perfect fixtures to come out on. You've just lost 2 games. But on paper, playing against 2 sides in Coventry and Sheffield Wednesday who are nearer the bottom of the league, Glenn, are these the kind of games that you'd look and go, no disrespect, but I'm glad it's these and not Norwich on Saturday? Or would you rather be playing against someone at the top where you can take points?
Yes and no. It can work both ways because it depends on the player's mindset. That's individually. Collectively, you would definitely know that the management are saying, look, these are not a given 3 points. But psychologically, if there is a little blip in a season, players might go, do you know what? We should beat them, or we will beat them. That's the danger. They need to make sure that they work harder than them teams because they're fighting for their lives, and the quality just comes through. It's as simple as that. But why I look like that is because you play against like a Norwich that are up there, they instantly raise their game because they know they've got to beat a very, very good team. It can work both ways. Like you say, on paper, it looks like 6 points, but the game's not played on paper. So it's a tough one.
That's it. And Coventry gaffer Mark Robbins came out this week and said there's certain players in that squad are in danger of playing themselves out of the club, which I thought was a massive statement. And apparently it's the first time he's come out this season and publicly slated his players. I don't know if you guys have experienced it where a manager's come out and publicly slated teammates or whatever. What effect does that have? Because I don't know how I'd take that as a player. Marcus, what effect will that have on the squad?
It will wake you up. It will wake the squad up. If he was named in it personally, that would affect you personally. You would think you're under attack. It's down to that player now, or the group of players, to rise to that challenge and prove the manager wrong. Sometimes they do that to bluff you into it as well. I've used certain psychological things in my short managerial career to really get into the mindsets of players where it does work. I don't think it's ever backfired when I've done it, but yeah, you would have to react to it, and that's what you're doing it for. You want a reaction.
And Sheffield Wednesday up next in the week. They've got an interim manager at the moment. What effect does that have, Karleigh, when it's not a full-time gaffer? Are people playing out their skin, or are people going, I'm not going to bother really because he's probably not going to get it? Or I don't know how it works.
I think it can depend really on who the interim manager is and the relationship they have with the players. If it's a manager who the players kind of want to maybe take the job full time, or are behind his beliefs, then usually the players will turn up for that and make sure they do everything they can in their power to give the manager the best chance of the job. But likewise, if it's a manager the players don't really relate to or don't really want to go long term, sometimes players can sometimes maybe not put in the best of performances or don't have the same enthusiasm to carry out the pass that the manager may set.
To be fair, they've had a bit of a turn up in form since he's come in. Glenn, I know you were one of the lads in the change room that was always dishing out the banter. If you had a little interim manager, would you be on best behaviour for that period, just in case he does get the gig?
I was always on best behaviour.
He's a liar.
Looking at it, I mean, yeah, of course you would. And whenever a new manager came in, you would always, be on your best behaviour, test the waters, a little bit. But I was one of them players that was always, trying to G up the boys, whether that means just acting the go or, throwing a little bit of banter here and there. That was my style. But I mean, I never actually had an interim or a caretaker manager. So, but whenever I had a new manager, I just try to G things up a little bit, because normally when you have a caretaker manager, it was usually because you wasn't doing the business on the pitch. So, to keep moods higher, that was my job, wasn't it, Karleigh?
Yeah, it was, to be fair. But Poole's one of the people, he was great to have in the changing room. He was just good for the boys and good for the kind of the general feeling within the changing room, within the group. So any manager that knows kind of what they want in their team and what type of characters they want, they would understand that Poole is one of those characters they did want in their squad.
Love that. And right, lads, apart from the warm-up, what's your favourite thing on YouTube?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
Well, look, don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. You've got a new one now. Shandon Baptiste's new YouTube channel. Check it out. Honestly, first video went up on Monday, behind the scenes and his Poole day recovery. It's quality. Don't worry. It's not a rival. It's more of a collaboration, lads. We're not in trouble here. We'll be working with him, I think, long term. Honestly, if you haven't seen it though, check out Shandon's channel. It's brilliant. We'll also provide a link to it below. I caught up with him in the week to discuss why he has moved into the world of YouTube and how that injury is coming along. Shandon, how are you, mate?
Good, thank you.
I should have rephrased that, sorry. YouTube star, Shandon Baptiste. How are you, mate? It's gone down the YouTube road. It's gone down well so far.
Yeah, it's something that I want to do. It's something that I watch a lot. And, I thought to myself, why not? Why can't I do it? Why not try it? So, yeah, here I am. First video out yesterday. So hopefully, people like it and, they like the videos that I will be putting out also.
Well, mate, it has gone down well. I loved it. Honestly, I really did. And I think it's great because there's not a lot of people doing this. Like Ben Foster's done it a little bit at Watford. So what made you actually properly want to get involved and do this kind of thing?
So obviously, I've had a lot of injuries now, especially long-term injuries, and I don't know, just this time I just kind of wanted to show people, the other side of it. Like I watched Hector Bellerin has a documentary that he put out, and I looked at it and I was like, it's something I wanted to do. I looked at his and it's like, it's something I could do. So I was like, yeah, let me, just show the people what the other side of football, the other side of what happened behind the scenes. And, at the start, I did just want to do my rehab, but then I said to myself, I want to do everything. I want to show people, the good times as well of my life. I want to show them the bad times. So it will be everything. It won't just be my rehab, but, at the start now, all I can really show is my rehab because, coronavirus and everything. So you can't really be doing a lot. But, I just kind of thought, because I wanted to go to. I watch a lot of it, as I said, so I said, why not? And hopefully, it can go somewhere.
It's brilliant. That Bellerin one, I've watched it as well. And does that kind of help you? Because you're seeing someone like him at an elite level and you're seeing him map out what happened to him. And I know you've had the ACL beforehand, but do you think what you're doing will also help other players when they see it?
No, hopefully, it's not, of course, there's a lot more that goes on, but, if you can just give them a little map of what happens, and sometimes like when you see it, you might be like, rah, like I did this in my rehab, or I saw Shandon do this here, and it just gives you little ideas of, I don't know, what might be good for you. Because for me, I never used to think that the Poole did much for me, but now being in it and doing it for so long now, it's something that I want to carry on doing. It's something that even when I'm back playing for recovery and stuff, I want to keep on doing. So hopefully, it can help someone. And as I said, it just gives you like a little map of what a long-term injury looks like. And sometimes when you have the injury, it might get you through some long days. So hopefully I can just help someone that needs it.
And what about the other boys? You're going to get them on the channel and get them involved in videos?
Yeah, like I would like to obviously, I want to do a couple of videos at the training ground. So hopefully, everyone will be happy enough to jump in the video and just, show the fans some stuff at the training ground. So yeah, I would like to. And
what about the editing? Are you getting involved in doing the edits as well, or?
Nah, I've got someone to do the edits. To be fair, I'm gonna try learn, especially because obviously now it gives me something to do while I'm injured. So I will try to learn. And if there's anyone out there that can give me a tip or two, please send some help over. But yeah, I'm gonna try learn, because as I said, it's just something to do. So why not?
Yeah, mate. Well, look, I'm useless at it I'm still learning. But look, let's talk about the injury. And I imagine you get this question a lot: how is the knee? And does that get annoying? People asking you that all the time?
Nah, not really. Because like, to be fair, they're asking because they care. Like, I'm sure there's no one. If you didn't care, you probably just wouldn't ask. So, yeah, like, it doesn't really get that annoying. I think it's just sometimes when, you have, like, if someone asks you, then another like 5 people ask you, probably like a minute later, it does get a little bit. But as I said, they're asking because they care. So realistically, it doesn't really ever get too annoying. So yeah, but it's good. It's feeling good, feeling strong. So it's just a long road to recovery.
And you mentioned it on the video that went out yesterday, and just in case people haven't seen it, go and see it. But it was your meniscus, is that right?
Yeah. So
that's not probably a very common injury in football, or one that we don't talk about or hear about a lot. So again, I know you mentioned this on the YouTube video.
Yeah.
But what exactly was the meniscus injury that you did, and what is a meniscus? Because some people might not actually know what that is.
Yeah, so the meniscus is like the ligament on the outside of your knee. And what I did was I basically tore it, and I think I'm right when I say they call it like a buckle handle tear, where essentially the meniscus cartilage, whatever, it kind of flips over, and as I said, you can't really straighten your knee. And normally with that sort of injury, a lot of people get it shaven and get pieces taken out, so the recovery is a lot shorter. But with mine, I had mine fully repaired because it allows you to basically have a meniscus again, and it allows your knee to stay stronger for longer. But with this sort of injury and repair, the rehab and the recovery time is a lot longer. So it's essentially better, but the time you have to stay out is longer. And as a footballer, you don't want to do that. You want to get back playing straight away. But I think with these, as the surgeon said to me, he said that I had 2 tears as also. So there was a tear that we didn't really know about. You only know about it when he went in and actually repaired the tear that we know about. So he said essentially I had quite a big surgery, probably one of the biggest you can have. So it's just about taking the time to really get the knee right, really get it strong, to give myself the best chance to stay injury free and have a long career.
It's effective like a shock absorber, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Literally just like a shock absorber. And it's crazy because that's something I really do at the minute is take a lot of impact into my knee, because otherwise it will just kind of just swell up. So it takes a long time to build that tolerance to the knee to allow things like that to happen. So, you know, it's going well. I still got a little while, but, you know, every day is a day closer to being back.
So what does a typical kind of rehab day look like for someone like you?
So I'm normally in around 9. No, I'm not saying 9. 10:30. 10:30. And yeah, get in. You know, Greggy, you know, takes a look at the knee, make sure it's all right, measures it, make sure it hasn't swelled up from the rehab the day before, and then from there go on the complex, get my quads firing, jump on the bike, just get me moving, and then yeah, my rehab starts from there. There's the days are split up, so some days I do a quad-based day, some days I do hamstring-based day with calves, some days you add in balance, and yeah, normally I finish around 2. So the days are quite short, because the surgeon just said to just do what I need to do and then go home and rest, because a part of the healing process is just rest and icing the knee and just letting it settle down. So my days are quite short, but they're fully packed when I'm at the training ground. So yeah.
Yeah, I saw in the video you mentioned about the club are quite good with kind of giving you a bit of input and control about, especially like the cardio stuff and the stuff that you do. Mm-hmm. Last year we saw Sergi, and I actually joined in with him doing his salsa stuff.
Yeah.
We ain't going to see anything like that from you, are we?
Nah, I'm not. I ain't a big dancer like that. I don't think I'll be doing anything. That's quality from him to do that, to be fair, but I don't think I'll be bringing anything like that to the training ground.
And you obviously did your ACL playing against us, actually, back in 2019. What impact is having gone through an injury like that had on this injury? I know it's a smaller injury, but it's still a big injury.
I think it's just, you know, it just allowed me to do the right things and just stay positive and stay focused. Because, you know, when you get your first long-term injury, it's hard because you're taken away from football for so long, and there's so much that goes into an injury like that, like staying fit and eating the right things and just staying positive. So that just allowed me to do the right things, because I know what's to come. I know what I have to do. So it's just about me just staying positive and, as I said, staying focused to just do the right things and get back stronger. And I'm a person that I'm quite positive, and you know, the team is doing really well, and I want to be back around that. So, you know, I've got to work as hard as possible to make sure that I can be there and I'm around it for as long as possible.
You mentioned there about food. When I did my cartilage, I ballooned because I just ate, and you're not doing running. So do you have to eat a lot less than that? Yeah,
so obviously, you know, we've got a nutritionist at the training ground. So I spoke with him when I first did it, and then I did like my body fats. And when I first got injured back in October, I did it. I was 9.5. A lot of people don't know what that means, but I was 9.5, and then when I did it last week, I was 9.6. So it shows I've basically put on nothing. So obviously I've been doing the right things, and it's tough, but you know, it's one of the things you've got to do it. So you know, you've got to have a healthy, balanced diet.
And you mentioned the lads there, and obviously, I imagine, especially now with that new gym, which is really impressive, how good has it been around them and people like Sergi, who's also been through long-term knee injuries and stuff? How good have they been for your recovery? Yeah,
you know, everyone's been a massive help. Everyone's been a driving force. You know, to have such good teammates is always helpful. And I think us as a team, us as a club, you can very see everyone involved is so tight together. So it always makes things easier. And as I said, everyone's always wishing each and every person well. So it's always nice to just have that. And as I said, that pushes you on to want to get back. And I want to be there. I want to be with the team. I want to be winning with the lads. So it's always nice to have that sort of route.
In that Bellerin video that we mentioned, and that little series, he talks about how he set himself goals along the way and just small little wins that he could do.
Yeah.
Have you done the same, and what are they?
Yeah, so I think it's good to do that because I think it takes your mind off the longer goal, because when you look longer, you start to rush things, you start to do things too quick. So it was for me, like I was on crutches for 12 weeks. So a little thing for me was from the start of my operation to 6 weeks, that just to get my brace off. Then 6 weeks to 12 weeks was to start walking. And then you just, as you go on, you just build little markers that you wanna hit. And I think, as I said, it keeps you grounded, it keeps you focused, and it just keeps you staying, as I said, focused for the next task.
What's harder, the physical side or the mental side?
Probably the mental, because it's just hard sometimes. Like even when you're seeing the boys win like 7-2 and stuff, and you kind of just want to be in the change room with them because it's everyone would be happy, everyone's laughing, joking, and like I'm here by myself just watching it on TV, or so sometimes it's just hard because, as I say, you just want to be there, but you just gotta stay grounded, you gotta stay focused. That's the best thing you can do, because as soon as you kind of stray away from that, it's gonna start affecting my knee, it's gonna start affecting your rehab, and that's the one thing I'm not trying to do, because you're working too hard to allow it to go all to fail now, basically. So probably it's the I'm sure some people probably say physically, but for me it's probably mentally.
Well, look, mate, one thing I will say, I think I speak for every Brentford fan here, is we're on this journey with you the whole way, honestly, and we can't wait to see you back on that pitch, and cannot wait to see what more we've got in store on your YouTube channel.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Cheers, Shandon, mate.
Thank you.
A link to Shandon's page is down below, and like I say, it's going to be great to see that channel grow. Lads, ever thought about dipping into YouTube, any of the three of you, apart from obviously what we do?
I think
I have.
Yeah.
I have. Yeah.
I would, but I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm starting a new show soon, hopefully.
Oh yeah, talk to me. Was it?
Looking to do a show called For the Players, where we get a few guests on, ex-pros, pros, and we just talk about and try and educate the next generation to help them become the best players they can be.
Love that. Do you know what I love watching on YouTube?
Glenn Poole's highlights.
Yeah, Glenn Poole goal compilations. I love watching them. Mate, you scored a few decent ones, didn't you? So let's talk about your time at Brentford. Before we go into the fans' questions, how did the move come about? Because there are a few teams in for you, wasn't there?
Yeah, at the time, I mean, I was at Grays at the time, and the year previously I'd done unbelievably well, to be honest, in a fantastic team, where loads of us went on and done good things further up the leagues. And then second season, I ended up going on loan to Rochdale, literally for like 6 weeks. Didn't set the world alight, to be honest with you. But previously to that, Scotty had come and seen me play for Grays in the trophy semi at Stevenage, and to be honest, we lost. But I'd say I had a very, very good game actually, and that's where the move came from. Rochdale offered me a permanent deal. My local club, Dagenham Redbridge, offered me a deal. Barnet had offered me a deal, and Torquay had offered me a deal. But as soon as I come and spoke to like Terry Butcher and Scotty, looked around the ground, the training ground, decision made. I thought I messed it up though with Terry Butcher as I was sitting in the office with him, sitting there, and he says, "Look, I don't know anything about you. Don't know anything about the level you've played at. I'm going on his judgment." And I've just sat there and gone, "Sorry, mate, I don't know anything about you." Like that. and I've just seen my agent who's sitting next to me, his head just go like that. But he loved it. He thought it was brilliant. He thought it was absolutely brilliant. And for about a split second, I was like, "Oh no, I've messed this up." But that was just me at the time. I was fully convinced I was never going to play in the Football League at one point. And I had another deal with Stevenage set up with my old gaffer, Mark Stimpson. So I thought, you know, whatever happens here happens. I'm not losing out on anything. But yeah, gladly he took it the right way. And, you know, I was glad to sign.
England captain, play for all these clubs. You got to know who you are.
World Cup semi-finals he was in.
Yeah.
I know.
But that seems to be a thing. Like we've had a couple of players come on and say that he openly went to them. I don't know.
Yeah, he did.
Sandy Scott's
He
recommendation.
did, yeah. And I mean, obviously, I knew everything about him. Do you know what I mean? It was just me being me. And yeah, it's a story that I do like to tell because, you know, he bloody England shirt and all that. Yeah. Everywhere, England pride, and there's me saying, I don't even know you are, mate.
How did you find that step up to the Football League? Did that loan at Rochdale help out, do you think?
I think it did, because I don't know. I mean, I put pressure on myself because it was that prestige thing that I really wanted to do in my career, and I was quite happy. I remember playing my first game, and I was in a hotel on my own. None of my family were there. It was just me. Played half an hour, did all right. Sat in a hotel and was like, well, was that it then? I'd be quite happy that I played in the league and whatever happens now. But I think it did. Like I said, I didn't set the world alight at all. I didn't think. I didn't enjoy it really, and it wasn't the fact that it was a great club and great staff, but the players weren't for me. I was the only Southerner, which does make a difference. Their sense of humour is not as ours is. So I found that a bit difficult. But as for the quality, I mean, I knew that I could hold my own, but I think that season for me personally wasn't very good. So it was, you know, it just sort of rolled into one sort of average, I thought, season for me. But then, yeah, going into Brentford, I was confident. I was always confident in my abilities, and I always was, and knew that if a manager liked me and put an arm around my shoulder, I'd flourish, and thankfully, you know, I did.
Yeah, amazing. And like I say, it was a great spell, and fans have got loads of questions. And this one from Arkeer1, they want to know, what is your favourite memory in a B shirt? My
favourite, I mean, everyone goes on about the goal against Wycombe, and that for me, if that is all I'm remembered for, so be it. I mean, it's unbelievable. Everyone still talks about that now. And it was a great moment. The thing that annoyed me was we lost. Yeah. You know, that's my mentality. We overshadowed it. It was a great goal, but we lost. But to be honest, my favourite memory was when we played Dagenham away. Karleigh, I think, was playing, wasn't you? You and Matty at the back, weren't you? And it was pouring down the rain, and I lived like 10 minutes from Dagenham. And obviously I'd spoke to them, and I'd nearly signed for them a few times. And all my family there, my friends, it was New Year's Day, pouring down the rain, and we won 2-1, and I scored both. And I think it was the second goal was in front of all the Brentford fans, pouring down the rain. There was about 1,000 people there. And I remember with my right foot as well, which was a rarity, and just standing in front of the Brentford fans like that. And that moment for me, and then I came off about 5 minutes ago, and they all clapped me off, and my family were just literally sitting behind the tunnel. That meant so much to me. So that was probably it.
Glenn, I've got a question from My Football Designs. He wants to know, best Brentford player you played with, and you can't mention Karleigh.
Thanks for saving me, Gailey.
Good question, isn't it?
That is a good question, mate. That is a good question. I'm going to say, and it purely consistency, King Kev, mate, because it's one of them. You just knew what you was going to get from Kev. You know, regardless of who he's playing, conditions, home, away, midweek, Saturday, you knew that Kev was going to give 100% and give you an 8 out of 10 minimum performance. So I'd just say Kev, yeah, definitely. Sorry, Karleigh.
That's all right, mate. That's why Gailey said you couldn't mention me. He was doing me a favour for saving me. I've got a question for you, Poole. Brian Allen said, what is your favourite goal for Brentford?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, the Wycombe one. Yeah, the Wycombe one, because we practiced it, didn't we, in training, and I hit it over the bar hit the road outside the training ground, hit a Boeing 747 on the flight path. And I just thought, when Scotty said we're going to do it, I was like, I know my own ability, but it's a risk. But fair play to him. He'd seen them and knew that they never left anyone on the edge of the box and trusted me with it. And I mean, I remember blatantly when Dicko chipped the ball up in the air, I thought, that's all right. And I slipped before I even set myself to strike it. But just seeing it hit the net and just the eruption of the stadium, and you still, when you see the video, you still hear it and feel it. That's the best, my best and favourite in a way. Like the one at Brentford though, away, where I'd been whacked in the head after 2 minutes. Couldn't hardly see. I had to come off at half time still. But I think, technique-wise and the way everyone reacted was definitely the Wickham one.
That's the best goal I've ever seen live. I'll always say it. It was one of those ones where, did you hit your foot? Because sometimes you hit that sweet spot and you don't even feel the ball.
No, I mean, the boots I was wearing at the time, it was the total 90s and it had like shell on it. And you knew as soon as you struck that ball with that part, you'd hit it well. And it literally, I mean, I remember seeing a video of it from behind our goal and it whizzed, it swerved and it missed someone by about that much. But I did it so well. I've never ever hit a sweeter ball, ever.
You scored a few long ranges. You mentioned the Bradford one, but you scored away at Rochdale, was it, as well?
Yeah.
A lovely one. How often did you practice shooting from long range, or was it just something you just always had?
I mean, it's something that the thing is, there was great goals, and I just wish social media was around like before. You know, when I came out of the pro game at 20 and was playing at Ford United and scoring goals like boom, boom, boom all over the place, because that's something that I always practiced on. Even as a kid in a garden, and after work, when I left Yeovil, I'd work at a hospital, go get a bag of balls, go over to like the ground at Barkingside, say to the chairman, can I have the keys, open up, I'd go on the pitch, just bang, 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 no one there. If people on the train would think he's mad, just kicking the ball like on an empty pitch on his own. But I'd always practice, and you know, I'd always like practice penalties, free kicks. You know, at times, even when I was like 34, 35, the gaffers are going to say, you've got to come in, because I just kept doing it. And obviously later on in my career, the goals dried up a little bit, or quite a lot, but it's just something that I've always done.
Glenn, Simon Radcliffe asks, what were the strengths and weaknesses of Andy Scott as a manager?
It's hard for me to say, because at the time when he took over, I'd like to think that I helped get him the job because I scored a lot of goals. And then he was fantastic. I remember once we was on the bus going up to wherever he was going. I think it was Shrewsbury. I think it was when you scored, Karleigh, in that 1-0 game.
Yeah.
Why,
love it. Hey, you're doing me wonders, by the way.
I think I'll set you like that going on, but we won't go into that. But he gave me a arm around the shoulder, and we had a double-decker bus, didn't we? And all the boys were like, oh, son off, because I remember he said to me, you've really helped me get the job. And I was like, oh, I'm just doing my job. Do you know what I mean? After, like, the second season, and he believed in me, don't get me wrong, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be at that football club. So I'm forever grateful. But when I wasn't in the team, for whatever reason, and there's plenty, I just thought his management wasn't great, personally. And listen, I still speak to him now, so it's not like I've got a problem with Scotty. I haven't, because I learned a lot about myself in that time, good and bad. But I just felt that whenever I wanted to go and speak to him, I couldn't speak with him without Bully in the office. And I just think, like, at times, there were times because I lost my granddad at the time, previous. And at times, I would just like to go in and spoke to him. I never felt like I could, to be honest, because, you know, that's just my opinion. I mean, listen, like I said, me and him, we spoke recently, and I've got no issue, you know, with Scotty at all, because I'm grateful for what he done for me. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be sat talking to you guys now. So, you know, but as weaknesses go, I wouldn't say it's a weakness. It's probably him learning, because it was his first job. And you can't argue with it. At the end of the day, we won the league. I played my part at the start of the season, you know, and did a little bit at the end. And, you know, that's memories for me. So,
what changed when he took over as first team manager, that you then go from sliding towards non-league to winning the league. What did he change straight away?
I just think he made it a bit more fun, to be honest. I mean, the gaffer Busher, we was having like double sessions on a Thursday, and I'm like, I'm not being funny, but if we're going to travel up on a Friday and play a big northern team that are full of running and that, and we're doing a double session on a Thursday, well, at times I felt exhausted. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, at times I was like, we don't need to be training for this long. I remember even in pre-season, I'd done my Achilles and my thigh. Like, we was running up and down like hills, and it was too much. Like, it was too much. And I think he come in and just literally went, right, we're training for this time, because he did it on the watch. He said, I remember Scotty saying, this is what we did with Arsene Wenger does. On the watch, boom, 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 we're out. And it was like, wow, football's actually fun now. And I mean, our performances did get better, as history proves.
Paulie, what was your best changing room moment, mate?
The best one was surely Nathan when he was training. And I can't remember why I weren't training. I wasn't, for some reason. I was on the exercise bike. And he'd hid my clothes the day before. And he was probably involved as well, to be fair. But he nicked all my clothes. I got told he nicked all my clothes. So I've gone home in my training kit, soaking wet, muddy, whatever. I've gone in the next morning. I thought, you know what? I'm going to hide all his boots. So I went into the boot room. He had about 10 pairs of boots. I just hid them all, took them. So he's come into training. Who's nicked my boots? There's me on the bike like that. You know, like, everyone's going, he's Paulie. I'm like, it's not me, mate. I don't know what's happening in here. Anyway, he's gone like, no, seriously, I need my boots. I'm like, I ain't got them, mate. I ain't got them. So anyway, Bully's come in and he's gone, look, Paulie, you need some boots to train in. I was like, Bully, I ain't done it, mate. So he goes out, comes back. They're all out there on the side of the pitch. So he said, look, he needs them. So I was like, all right. So I've gone out to my car where I put them all, come back, and there's one left Copa Mundial and one like studded Nike one. I don't know, like it was the silver one. So he's got our boots. So I've left them on the side. They're over on the far pitch. I've just seen Bully come trotting over again. Now, Paulie, like, seriously, you need to, like, give him his right pair of boots. Otherwise, you're going to get fined. So I was like, all right. So he's gone trotting off again. Nate's still on the side of the pitch. I've gone to the car, swapped. I've got the other one from them pairs. So I've brought them out again, and I've got, like, one black Copa Mundial with the right foot and the other studded boot, the left boot. So I've switched them over. Oh, mate, it was just pandemonium. And I'm just sitting there on the exercise bike, just looking out. It was pandemonium, like, yeah, that was unbelievable. But there was so many. There was so many funny things. Like, we had a good bunch of lads. We really did. It was quality.
We did.
That leads nicely onto your one, doesn't it, the ambassador?
Yeah, Glenn, who was your closest teammate and why? Also,
Closest
who did you room with?
I roomed the first year. When did I room the first year? I can't remember who I roomed with the first year, actually. I know I roomed with Charlie Mack the second year. I roomed with Gary Smith, actually, a couple of times. I mean, I was one of them that I roomed with someone and then no one wanted to room with me again. So, but I'd say, do you know what? I would say I wasn't really close to anyone in particular, per se. I'd say I got on well with everybody. I did become quite close with Adam Newton because when I moved out of my flat, because I sort of knew the writing was on the wall that I was going to be leaving, so I left the place that I was living in, and we travelled in for a good 2 months together, and we've like met up for pie and mash and that many times since, and we stay in contact. So, but I mean, I got on well with everybody. I never had a bad word to say about anyone in the squad. So yeah, I'd say I was pretty easy to get on with.
Mate, my one. You've played a lot of football at different levels over your career. What has been the moment in football that has blown your mind on or off the pitch? Has there been anything that you've just gone, wow, what has just happened there? Could be good or bad. Was it your Wickham?
Karleigh buying a round would probably be one.
I was only young then. I wasn't earning good money.
No, I don't know, mate. There's nothing really that stands out in my mind, to be honest.
Very much as pre-season.
What's that?
Terry Butcher's pre-season was a shock for you, wasn't it?
Oh, mate, that was stinking, wasn't it? Oh, mate, like, I remember running up Richmond Hill, and I'm like, we're doing doggies up the hill, which you used to, but then running down, I'm like, no, and then I'm looking across, and there's like a group of deer just looking at us, like, they're looking at us going, you're mad, like, chuck one in. But no, do you know what? There's not, I'll tell you what, actually, one wow factor, and that was at Bradford when I scored that goal, and the whole of the Bradford crowd were clapping like that. That is actually one thing that wowed me, because they had a very strong following, and I hit it. And I just remember running off, and I've actually got a picture somewhere of me running off and a couple of lads running over, and there's a bloke standing up just clapping behind me. That was actually a wow moment thinking about it, because I was like, cool, that must have been a good goal.
It was a hell of a goal, mate. Look, you blew my mind as a player a lot of times. Cheers for joining us. And we've got some plans, haven't we? We're going to try and film something.
Yeah, they're up for it, Billericay. So, yeah, as soon as we can.
We won't tell anyone too many secrets
about it. No.
That's it for today, lads. I was a little bit mopey before I saw you guys, and you've cheered me up as you always do. So a big thank you, and big thank you to Glenn. Much appreciated for your time, and thank you to all the fans that also sent in the questions for Glenn. Back to the football, 2 big games again, starting with Coventry on Saturday. That one is live on Sky Sports, but you can also catch it on iFollow. Match pass is available at brentfordfc.com/iFollow. And then midweek against Sheffield Wednesday, of course, it's the same deal. That game available on iFollow. And also match day programmes available. The brilliant Chris Deacon has put that together again at the Curtis Sport website. Thanks again, guys. A little bump in the road, but we go again. 2 big games. We leave you now with Josh Da Silva celebrating his 100th appearance in a B shirt. Stay safe. Enjoy your weekend. You Reds!